listening to KPFT Houston. We are 90.1 on the dial. If you're down in Galveston, catch us at 89.5, and our friends up in the piney woods of East Texas, 91.9. It's time for Songwriter Studio. I'm your host, Tom Tranchilla, and it is my honor to bring in co-founder of Orleans and two-time U.S. Congressman, Mr. John Hall. How you doing, John?
Good, thanks, Tom. How are you?
I'm doing terrific. I really appreciate the fact that you decided to spend an hour with us here on Songwriter Studio and introduce songs from your brand new album. And we are so excited to have you in the studios. Reclaiming My Time, just released. I'd like to thank Annie for sending me a copy of the new record. She's always so good about picking some of the best records, new releases, and sending them to me. And you've been busy.
I never thought I'd be so busy when I had to stay home all the time. I was living in an apartment up in New York's Hudson River Valley and living by myself. And so I wound up being locked down when the pandemic hit by myself. And gee, I thought I was going to be bored or just watching TV all the time or something. But it turned out that you can get a lot done when you can't, well, especially for me, when I can't go down the road and do concerts. There's plenty to catch up with, and managed to make this record mostly during the pandemic, mostly with different players and singers in isolation, sending their parts in from different states or different cities, or sometimes just different homes in the same place. And the technology today, as you know, allows this to be done. It's basically the same technology that lets young musicians today make a record in their bedroom or in their closet even. And so, you can teach an old dog new tricks, and I've gotten good enough at this to make this record.
Yeah, just sending the files back and forth. You brought in some ace players on this new record, John Cohen, Andrea Zahn. You've got Sean Paddock, Steve Warner, one of my favorite guitar players of all time, as well as a slew of other people, and you just mixed it up. You've got blues on here, you've got reggae on here, you got rock and roll on here. You did a great job of mixing up the tempos and the styles, and just really enjoyed it.
Yeah, there's a couple countryish things and folky sounding things, but I tend to fill in the blanks a little bit when I write a song. I usually start out with the instrument I wrote it on, like a guitar or a piano in my case. Those are my two main instruments since I was a kid. But then I wind up hearing bass and drums and other instruments, and fortunate to have some really great players who I was able to get, as you said, John Cowan and Andrea Zahn. The sax player on a couple of these songs, I guess I could talk about him when we get there, but Jay Collins, who played with the Allman Brothers and played with Donald Fagen and Michael McDonald and Boz Scaggs when they toured as the Dukes of September. He's worked with illustrious people, and he's a great keyboard player as well as sax player. So yeah, I was, and he recorded at home in Catskill, New York, and emailed the file to me. We mixed him in, and it sounds like he was playing with everybody else at the same time.
Yeah, I'm not sure if he was with the New York Rock and Soul Review show or not, but all those others were. We've got so much to cover, and I want to play as many songs off the record as I can. We've got Alone Too Long queued up. Why don't you let the listening audience know a little bit about this track?
Yeah, I wrote this song for a friend who was grieving a very hard loss. We started it right before the pandemic, and then we all started being alone too long, thanks to the isolation and the lockdowns. And Chad Richards, who's a poet from up in New York in the Woodstock area, who I've written with before, he's really good at finishing lyrics. And I sent him what we had and talked to him about it, and he wrote the second and third verses. So it was a three-way write with John Paul Daniel, my friend I was talking about, who lost his wife, and Ted Richards and myself. And it's just it's a song about isolation, which we can all relate to.
Well, let's listen to that track right now off of Reclaiming My Time. Brand new music, John Hall. The name of this track, Alone Too Long.
My friend, I see you've been wounded. Your true love came with pain, a heartache included. You asked for my advice, so now I will provide it. Don't you stay alone too long. Don't stay alone too long. Don't stay alone too long. You'll start to like it. Look at yourself. Another evening with Netflix. Microwave dinner for one. You start to expect it. Too much left undone, and too much gets neglected. Don't you stay alone too long. Don't stay alone too long. Don't stay alone so long. It's too late to correct it.
Alone Too Long, John Hall. What a great song, John. And you're right, the sax solo was incredible. Excellent background vocal harmonies as well.
He's a great player. I think that second verse that goes, look at yourself, another evening with Netflix.
Yeah, I caught that line.
That sounds like me. It was a combination of being alone personally at the time and living by myself, and lockdown made it feel really isolated.
You know, John, you've been getting a lot of airplay with the next track we've got queued up here, Lessons, especially here at KPFT. I know the blues shows have been playing it. We talked about this yesterday. You're leaning toward a little bit more blues on this record. Why don't you, and I understand, I caught it when I watched the YouTube video, you're playing in drop D. Why don't you explain a little bit of that to the listening audience?
Sure. Well, you know, in the key of D, I like having the low E string down to a D, just most usually because that way it sounds fuller. It's just, you know, it kind of takes a little bit of the part that a bass guitar would take. I wrote this song with Johanna Hall, my first wife and songwriting partner. We wrote Dance With Me together and Still the One together, and, you know, Half Moon for Janis Joplin and so on. We wrote this tune with Jonelle Mosser, a wonderful singer from Nashville who's, you know, kind of blues R&B singer. She sung backup with everybody, the Nashville community pretty much, and she's also made several records, two of which I produced and co-wrote with her. So this is a song that the three of us wrote, and it's about learning from hard experience in life. It starts out, I needed to learn patience. I wound up in a traffic jam. And I think of that many times myself as I'm in a hurry to get somewhere and somebody's in my way.
If you're just tuning in, John Hall's our guest tonight on Songwriter Studio, and the name of the new album, Reclaiming My Time. This is track 4 called Lessons. When we come back from this track, I want to talk a little bit about your activism. I know you're heavily involved with the Musicians United for Safe Energy, and we're spearheading the No Nukes concert years ago. But first, let's listen to that new track, Lessons, Reclaiming My Time. John Hall.
I needed to learn patience. I wound up in a traffic jam. I learned to handle money as it slipped right through my hand. Wanted to travel the whole world over. That's when I lost my home. Say if you ain't hurt, you ain't learning. I'll be a genius before long. They all turned their backs on me. I knew the value of a friend. I learned unconditional love, seeing my baby with another man. Wanted to get more independent till I found myself alone. Say if you ain't hurt, you ain't learning. I'll be a genius before long. In a way that may be a big surprise. genius before long. If you ain't hurting, you ain't learning. I'll be a genius before long. Before long. I'll be a genius 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 before long.
Lessons, John Hall. John, great slide work.
Well, thank you so much. Yeah, I played sitting down with the Stratocaster on my lap for that. There is a video for that song, by the way, that people really like. It's if you want to see it, you can go to johnhallmusic.com and it'll be there, or YouTube.
Yeah, and that's where I found it. I watched it the other day on YouTube. It's an excellent video, and boy, that Stratocaster of yours, it's been played.
Yeah, it's a 1956 Strat.
It's a 56 Strat. Wow.
And it's got the finish all worn off of it. I don't want to do anything to it, so I don't have it refinished, but it's an old friend.
Yes, it is. And you know, your slide work in that reminded me a little bit of Bonnie Raitt. To me, she's one of the top-notch slide players out there. Speaking of which, wasn't she part of the group of the No Nukes concert? I wanted you to talk about that just a little bit.
Well, the four musicians who kind of founded and were on the board of No Nukes were Bonnie Raitt, Jackson Brown, Graham Nash, and myself. And there were lots of other wonderful musicians and friends who joined the effort, but those were the four, I guess, voting members is the word. Yeah, Bonnie's terrific. I've worked with her before and, written a song she recorded and played on a couple of her records and done lots of gigs with her over the years. She's a sweetheart. And like you said, she's a fabulous slide player.
Yeah, we just recently had Freebo on the show. He's been on my show numerous times, who played bass for her for years. Just a terrific guy and a great fretless bass player. We've got the next track booted up, Isla Morada. Why don't you talk a little bit about this track?
Well, I'll spill some personal beans here. When Johanna and I separated, well, when we got married, we had our honeymoon on Isla Morada, one of the Florida Keys. And after we separated and divorced, I wrote this song kind of about that. And it's got a Brazilian influence and a reggae kind of influence too. It's my daughter went to Brazil on a Fulbright scholarship for a year, and I visited her down there and heard lots of music while I was there. Peter O'Brien, who played with Orleans, played drums with Orleans for several records and tours. He's the drummer on this track, and I played pretty much everything on it and wrote it by myself. There are a couple songs in this record I did not have a collaborator on in terms of writing. But I think other than that, the song really speaks for itself. Probably didn't need me to even tell that much.
That's okay. Brand new music, John Hall, Reclaiming My Time. Name of this track, Isla Morada.
Dreams begin and end in an aqua reverie. I finally got over the love you gave to me. A love that some call sorrow, a call I used to hear. the drumming of a breaking wave when the shoreline's drawing near. You took my hand as we two swam before the continents were born. When they rose, the place we chose was one that everybody knows as Isla young and you a little older, we lay beneath the sun, it seemed would never grow colder. A sunlit from that shallow gulf inexorably slid, turning red and disappearing no matter what we did. Now you hold forth somewhere up north and plant your beets and watercress, while I search the skies and strangers' eyes for something known as happiness and Isla island of sky, island of souls who are here for all time, island of coral, island of green, island of sorrow, island of dreams. In a coral crown of thorns, protect the souls who stayed here when the continents were born.
Isla Mirada, John Hall, brand new music. John, I was just down in the Keys 2 months ago. It's a shame what's happening to the reefs. They are dying rapidly. Lou Key, which I've dove many times over the decades, is almost 100% bleached and or dead. And I don't know how we're going to stop it, but we certainly have a challenge ahead.
We do, and there are a couple of songs on this record about those topics. I think it'll get people's attention more when the land that people are actually living on or partying on in Key West or Isla Mirada or any of the Key Biscayne, when those keys are underwater, it'll get people's attention. Then they'll want to do something, but I don't know if it'll be in time. I hope we act first before it's too late.
Agreed. We could go on that topic for hours, but we've got some great music to play. I've selected this next track, Another Sunset. Steve Warner, one of my favorite artists of all time, helps you out with this, and this has tell us a little bit about this. It's got a good reggae feel to it.
Another sunset we wrote together, Steve and I wrote together, and it's got, it's unique on this record, partly because of course, Steve's influence and also his guitar playing. He played a guitar that was given to him by Chet Atkins' widow. It was Chet's gut string guitar. We had written songs before. Steve and I wrote a song called You Can Dream of Me that was a #1 country hit for Steve. And a couple other songs, The Language of Love, which he recorded on one of his records, and Orleans did it. We did it on one of ours. So it's fun writing with Steve because he's such a great singer and musician, and I get to hear all that talent, while we're actually the song is in gestation and we're trying to finish it. I get my own private concert.
Yeah, he's quite the guitar player. Matter of fact, if I'm not mistaken, correct me if I'm wrong, one of only 4 that Chet gave the CGP, Certified Guitar Player, honor to.
Yeah, that's true.
And, killer
Steve,
guitar.
Steve duets on this with me. He sings a second verse and half of the lyrics on the bridge of the song and the rest of the song. So it was great fun, and I'm looking forward to doing some more writing with Steve.
Let's listen to that track right now. Another Sunset off the brand new album by John Hall, Reclaiming My Time.
Perfect here in paradise. You and me strolling by the shore. I can tell you're anxious to get back to real life. You wanna pack and hit the road. Sunset with you, surrounded by your lilting laughter. Just one more swim in the lagoon, one more kiss under the moon, another sunset. On the mainland never go out. The hum of the highway never ends. Duty is calling me, but I can't hear it now. There's important business that I must attend. Another sunset with you, surrounded by your lilting laughter. One more swim in the lagoon, one more kiss under the moon, another sunset. Trailers whistling by, seagulls asking why. A person such as I would think about leaving without seeing another sunset with you. Surrounded by your lilting laughter. Just one more swim in the lagoon, one more kiss under the moon, another sunset. Don't make me go yet. Just one more sunset with you. Just one more sunset.
Another sunset, John Hall with a little help from Steve Warner. Yeah, I caught his classical playing in the background, just beautiful vocals as usual.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the voice of velvet that guy has, and I've seen some astonishing guitar videos that are all over YouTube. Steve playing with different people or by himself. It's humbling. There's certain players I've worked with where I look and go, well, I know that. Hey, I can't do that. Robin Ford being one.
If you're just tuning in, John Hall's our guest on Songwriter Studio this afternoon, and we really appreciate you spending a little time with us. The name of the album, Reclaiming My Time, excellent work. There's no question that you're an environmentalist. Talk about the next track, Save the Monarchs, which anybody that's seen any of the documentaries about the decline of the monarch population, it's staggering. It's just another indication of what our planet is suffering through right now. Tell us a little bit about this track and your co-write with Dar Williams.
Well, Dar actually sang this with me, but I wrote the song myself. And yeah, it's not just the monarchs that are suffering. It's all the creatures living in the coral reef, as the last verse says. You know, it's birds, it's all species, marine fish and mammals. And so this is basically a prayer. My little brother was a priest, and my mom had a master's in divinity. I was brought up, to think that we have a charge to be good stewards of the earth. And so the song is a prayer saying, help. It's a cry for help, and it's also specifically save all the other creatures from us and from our thoughtlessness in polluting the way we are. I tried to write it so it sounded like God Save the Queen, and if you first heard the title, you might think that, but it's the monarch butterflies, the king condor. It's the queen of the honeybees. We all have been reading and hearing, or many of us have, how if the honeybees go extinct and there are no pollinators, we won't be able to grow food. And it's there's potentially real big trouble for the human race, for our species as well as for all the other endangered creatures. But so Dar sang great on this. She did a couple fundraisers for my political campaigns, and she and I have done many fundraisers ourselves for nonprofits and environmental groups or events. So it seemed like a natural pairing, and really enjoyed working with her.
Let's listen to that track right now. Our buddy Lloyd Daniel behind the glass. Thank you, Lloyd, for every week, for all you do and the use of Songwriter Studios. Let's listen to Save the Monarch. John Hall, brand new music.
Save the monarch butterfly, save the king, King Condor, watch him rise, save the ancient wood before the fire arrives. You in whom we trust, save them from us.
Save the emperor, penguin from the zoo, save Prince Simba the poachers on the loose, and the wildflowers from the poison that we use, eternal and just.
Save them, save them, save them from us.
Well, it has been written, you gave us dominion over things that walk the earth, swim the sea or soar the sky. Forgive my people who know not what they do. Lift the veil from our eyes.
Save the queen,
The queen and the honeybees,
those with scales or skin,
feathers or fleas, and all the myriad creatures living in the coral reef.
you in whom we trust.
Eternal and just.
Save them,
Save them, save them from us. Save them,
save them,
save them. Save them, save them, save
save
the queen and the honeybees,
monarch butterfly.
Save the Monarch, brand new music, John Hall, with a little help from Dar Williams on vocals. What a beautiful voice she has.
Well, thank you. And Dar's got a really special voice and sensitivity to the songs she's singing. And she's a great writer, of course.
John, I wanted to touch on a little bit your current lineup for Orleans. Years ago, we lost Wells Kelly and Larry Hoppin. Well, actually, Larry just passed away, 2012?
That's correct, yeah.
And
we
Wells
have-
passed away.
Yeah, we still
long
have
time.
a couple of Hoppin brothers. It was a musical family. Lance Hoppin, Larry's younger brother, is original bass player, is still with us playing and singing. And the youngest Hoppin brother, Lane Hoppin, has been with the band now for, I think, since the 90s, off and on. I try to remember. I've been in and out, and a couple times we kind of put it away and then started playing again. So he's done a lot of other exciting things in the meanwhile. But, you know, their parents were both musicians and music teachers, and their parents met on a gig. So all of the Hoppins have a great voice and great instrumental capability.
You know, it always impressed me, the notes that Larry used to hit. He's just an incredible high-pitched singer.
Yeah, he's a legitimate tenor, and we've at the moment we're playing with Brady Spencer, a drummer from Nashville, and a guitar player, Tom Lane, who's a really good player and also has that tenor voice. So people tell us we sound just like we always sounded, and I hope that's true.
And that's the impression you want for sure, because Orleans, I'd even read something a while back that I can't remember what publication it was. They claimed you to be the best live touring band in the country at the time.
Just saying a lot, having worked with Little Feat.
Oh, yeah, one of my favorite bands live. We're going to move on to track All Up and Down From Here. Tell the listening audience a little bit about this track.
Well, I was having a birthday a few years ago, and a friend came up to me and said, "Hey, congratulations, John." Well, it's all up and down from here. And that's the truth in life, in terms of health, in terms of business. A lot of us have personal ups and downs too, and relationships and what have you. So I just thought, John Paul Daniel and I wrote this song together, and we wrote it as a fun song because that's what it should be.
And it definitely is a good rock and blues tune. I love it. It's got an excellent beat. You got to tap your toe.
Also, John Cowan singing on this. John has been now for the last 15 years or so playing bass and singing with the Doobie Brothers. And before that, he was in the band Newgrass Revival with Bela Fleck and Sam Bush and Pat Flynn. He's a really great player and singer himself. So that's who's on the backups.
Excellent. Two of my favorite bands you just mentioned, by the way. Let's listen to that track right now off of Reclaiming My Time. All Up and Down From Here. This is John Hall.
Good news today, I got that big promotion. My pay went up and set my plans in motion. All of a sudden the other shoe fell. The stock market's going all to hell. The funky town, but it's all up and down from here. Well, I'm on cloud nine, hanging with my baby mom.
All up and down from here, brand new music, John Hall. Reclaiming My Time. John, if they want a copy of the new record, where do they go?
Well, wherever you get your music, it's on Amazon. It's on, any place you can buy a record. It's also on all the streaming services, Apple Music, Pandora, Spotify, Tidal, all those. It's out there. If you come to a show, an Orleans show or a John Hall show, I'd be happy to sign one for you or sell you one and sign it there. It's a little label, Sunset Boulevard Records, an indie record label, but it's growing really fast, and they're doing a good job getting this record spread around and available pretty much anywhere.
By the way, the photo shoot, whoever did the photo shoot for the liner notes and the cover and the back, just a superb job. Great shots.
Anthony Scarlatti's his name. He's a great photographer.
I do want to ask you about your schedule. You're doing limited touring right now under Orleans. Tell the folks, do you have a schedule on your website?
There's a schedule on the website, and also the Orleans website is orleansonline.com. We're going to be next week. We're doing a couple shows in Florida this coming week. Stuart, Florida, and Jacksonville. I believe it's Thursday and Friday. And the other thing is that we have an Orleans Christmas record out. It's called New Star Shining. We've never made a Christmas album before. This one has the title track, which Johanna and I wrote years ago. It was recorded by Ricky Skaggs and James Taylor and Mark Wills and a few other artists. And we cut a version of it in the 90s for a record that was called Woodstock Christmas. It was released in Japan only, but we own it for the rest of the world, and so we finally were putting it out, along with a bunch of new songs that we finished or started and finished in isolation during COVID times, and a couple of older things from different records that we reworked and overdubbed on and remixed. So it's a really fun record. It's not traditional Christmas carols. It's new music that most people probably hadn't heard.
Yeah, I talked to Annie about this. I promised her I'd be getting some of the tracks aired during our Christmas show in December. And we'd like to put a big shout out to Annie Layton. She's just wonderful. She keeps in touch with us here at KPFT and lets us know which new releases she would recommend. Well, anyway, John, thank you so much for spending the last hour with us here at Songwriter Studio. There's a couple things I want to shout out before we go off the air. Johnson Studio House Concerts, always a supporter of this station, is bringing Jordy Bizon into their house concert series in Galveston. If you're interested in that, please email Pam at pammoon, PAMMOON 41 at AIM.com. They've always got a stellar mix of artists coming in once a month to do their house concert series. And anyway, please stick around for Irish Airs. We'd like to thank John Hall one more time for spending his time with us this Sunday, and we really appreciate it. If you love the album, as I do, go online, order a copy. Tell us a little bit about the last track we've got booted up, John. Welcome Home.
Well, thanks, Tom. It's been a pleasure being with you, and thanks for asking me. Welcome Home is a song I wrote for a Vietnam veteran friend who had a wicked case of PTSD. And I actually served, when I was in the House of Representatives, I served as chair of the Subcommittee on Veterans Disabilities, and I got to write a law that was passed by, unanimously passed. Every Republican and Democrat in both the House and the Senate voted yes, and President George W. Bush signed it into law. It's to speed the processing of veterans' claims. But this song, Welcome Home, is about my friend and some other vets I know who had similar problems. So it's almost Veterans Day, and it's a good time to play it.
John, thanks for what you do. I've always loved the Orleans music. I love your solo work. I really appreciate you getting back into the music business. Thanks for the bills you sponsored while you were in Congress, and hopefully they can learn to work together as they did when you were in Congress.
Well, that would be nice. I think there's still common ground if we really work to find it.
Stick around. Up next, Irish Airs, and after that, our friends with the Bluegrass Depot, Joanna and Dalton. See you next week, Songwriter Studio. Thanks again, John.
Bye.
He shipped out in his navy blues, did what his country asked him to, and did it in freedom's lane. Swept on a tide of his story and washed up by a foreign sea where death and terror reigned. And in the heat of that tropic sun, he would sleep with his hand on his gun, and let him fear of being left alone. He's waited all these years to hear, welcome home. So many in his company died, but he came home again, feeling sick in his soul. There were no parades of victory, no waves of marching bands. He's alive, but still not whole. Miserable scars, wounds that would not heal, stripes and stars, none of it seems real. How can he start to pick up his life and move on when he's waited all these years to hear, welcome home, welcome home, welcome Now there's a wall in Washington, 10,000 miles away from that green